I'd like to address a question that is so stupid it should never be asked in the first place, but is asked far too often. Do animals have more rights than people? Do animals deserve to have rights? Does nature have any rights? Yeah, well, first of all, what is a right? Okay? It's a little something that most humans kind of sort of agree that ought to be that way. Okay, so like most humans kind of sort of agree that we should be free from torture. Those who torture disagree, clearly. Most humans kind of sort of agree that children should be free of abuse. Those who do it continue to disagree. And so on. So a right is only worth as much as the support that it has. If it's not enforced and it's not supported, it's just words. Does nature have rights? Well, now let's think of it in a moral level, because that's where this topic really sits. It's a moral topic. It's people trying to work out a human moral to be applied when making rules and decisions. Should a beaver's right to live supersede my right to go play in the river? I'm sorry, but did anyone actually ask that question? All right, let's pull it back. We know that your right to play in the river is BS, and you never had such a right in the first place. And of course, a beaver has a right to live versus any right you might have to go recreate. But now let's pull it back a little further. Now let's say it's you and your livelihood against an animal's existence. I don't know, maybe it's a burrowing owl or a red cockaded woodpecker, or and you're a logger, or maybe it's an animal that lives where you want to mine, or maybe it's a plant species that cannot make it if you don't, if you continue to do your job, your work, and you'll have to change your career, learn new skills, possibly even commute somewhere else and or start a new industry or find a new job, versus continuing to threaten the existence of this other animal. That's the question that's always coming up. Does nature have more rights than people? Well, since rights are an arbitrary thing people decide on in the first place, it's up to us, I guess. I'd say yes. As a moral issue, that is where I really stand on my argument. Because you see, if we considered these animals as having the same validity as persons around us, if we thought of these animals as their lives having value, their existence being important, then we would understand that their actual existence does supersede our convenience, our comfort, or even our livelihood. If it's me against an animal, like shooting a bear that's trying to kill me, well, that's, our morals change when our lives are on the hook. But it shouldn't change when our income is on the hook. So then we must say to ourselves, well, I say no. Nature does have a higher right than us. No, we do not have the right to earn an income at the cost of entire ecosystems and species. And now we get to the point where, when that makes sense to enough people, we start questioning the people who are doing it anyway. The people who are lobbying against rules to stop them. In fact, we start considering, well, maybe we should be making rules against them. Because you can go find another job. You can find a new income stream. But you can't replace these extinct species. We'll never, ever, ever replace the mammoth or the dodo, trust me, or the passenger pigeon. We might come up with a few museum specimens that are sort of a chimera of a modern thing mixed with the DNA of an old thing, but it won't be the old thing, and it won't be a natural population, and it won't be able to live wild as a natural population. Its place on Earth has been removed and taken, and it is gone. Once you make these changes to an ecosystem, the changes remain. They can't be undone. It's like trying to unspeak words that have hurt somebody's feeling, or unbreak something that you love. It's gone is gone. So when you want to ask yourself whether or not nature should have more rights than you, maybe you should stop thinking about it as rights and start thinking about it in a more practical sense. Instead of thinking about it as some moralistic rule that you can exert upon others and force on others, you should start thinking about it in the practical sense of what happens if we just ignore the damage that we're doing to all of the non-human things around us. And maybe that's kind of stupid. And maybe we're getting impoverished by it. Personally, I really love walking in the forest. I really love seeing fish in the streams. That sort of thing enriches my life and helps me avoid depression. It helps me avoid despair. It helps me cope with the day-to-day. Just knowing it's there and having access to some of it in the form of a park has been grand beyond belief. It was the thing that I missed for 40 years in Saskatchewan that had me feeling like I was always in survival mode. And we need these things. It's human.